Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Welch, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Regional Recruitment at Missouri S&T. Tonight, we are going to be chatting with Ashley Walters from Residential Life. And then we're going to let her give you guys a little bit of information about housing and dining options. And then we're going to start taking your questions. If you would, go ahead and stop your video and mute right now while we're doing the presentation. And then if you would start putting your questions in the chat. So anything that you want to know, start chatting. Kara Winars is joining me tonight. Kara, you might wave. And if you have specific questions that Kara can answer, she might do that just chatting with you. But we're also going to read aloud many of your questions and let Ashley answer them out loud. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Ashley, take it away.
Great, thank you so much. So you guys have something better to look at than just all our faces. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So basically, I just want to give you a little bit of a spiel of what probably your most frequently and what your most pressing questions are. So let me start with the housing requirement. We do have a housing requirement at Missouri S&T, and that housing requirement is that all enrolled students, undergraduates, live in university approved housing until they meet one of three things. One of those three things are, one, if they are 21 or older. So if any of you happen to be of that age, you would not be required to live on campus. Two, they have lived with us for 4 semesters. Or 3, they have achieved 60 credit hours earned post high school graduation. Now that post high school piece is very important. We know you guys, along with our current students, are extremely intelligent, and you are coming to us with a lot of advanced placement credits, potentially a lot of dual enrollment credits. Now, those are wonderful, but they just do not count towards our housing requirement. The 60 credits towards our housing requirement need to be earned post high school graduation. So those are the 3 basic pieces to our housing requirements. So that means that most first year students will be required to live in university approved housing. Now, what does university approved housing mean? That could be one of 3 things: living in the residence halls, which is what I am primarily responsible for, or living in Greek life. If you join a sorority or a fraternity and you live in-house with them, that meets the housing requirement. And then the third option is Christian Campus House. They're a little bit more separated from us, and so they have their own application process, and it's fairly competitive. But if you are chosen to live there, that also meets our housing requirements. So those required to live in housing need to live in one of those 3 areas: residence halls, Greek life, Campus Christian House. Now, the specifics of our residence halls, you'll see here on our slide that we have a handful of residence halls: Residential Commons, Thomas Jefferson Hall, University Commons, Minor Village, and Rolla Suites. The ones I'm going to focus on: Residential Commons, Thomas Jefferson Hall, and University Commons. Those are the 3 areas that primarily first year students would live in. Minor Village and Rolla Suites is mostly transfers and or current, returning residents. So those are the 3 I'm going to focus on. Residential Commons is our suite style building. So the big draw here is that there is a semi-private bathroom within a suite, and you'll see here one of our most popular, but one of our most scarce, which is the double deluxe. We only have a handful of those available. In the suites, there is always going to be 4 people in a suite. It just depends on what suite you're in, how many rooms there'll be. For example, this is a double. So there's 4 people in this suite sharing 2 bedrooms, 2 people per room. But in residential commons, we also have single deluxe suites. And that would be, again, 4 people in the suite, but that would be 4 separate bedrooms. So we have the doubles and we have the singles. You'll see here that there are bathroom spaces on either side of the suite. If you look at this floor plan, it isn't 2 full baths, but there's a sink and a shower on one side and a toilet and a sink on the other, so that 2 people, somebody could be going to the bathroom, somebody could be taking a shower in separate spaces. So within the suite, those 4 people, whether it's in doubles or singles, would share that bathroom space. You'll see some photos here, and for even more information, after you get any questions answered here, I'd recommend, if you haven't already, check out our website. We have recently put up some virtual tours where you will see 100% more than what is on this slide here. You'll be able to see specifics of what the bathrooms look like, the common spaces in the suites, as well as the common spaces on all the floors. So make sure you check that out. But that's the basics of Rolla Suites. It's really popular due to the suite style, as well as the bathrooms. Here we have Thomas Jefferson Hall, and Thomas Jefferson Hall is what I would consider a traditional residence hall space. So that being a room like you see here, mostly double occupancy, but we do have some singles now in Thomas Jefferson as well. Mostly double occupancy, but each floor has, a hallway full of these double occupancy rooms, and everybody on that floor uses a community bathroom. Now, that can sound a little bit scary, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have to clean the community bathrooms. So that is a little bit of a benefit to living in Thomas Jefferson Hall, where if you're living in a suite style like residential commons, you are responsible for cleaning your own bathroom, versus here with these community bathrooms, there's custodians on every floor every day who are cleaning those spaces for you. So keep that in mind. And then our newest facility is University Commons. It is very similar to residential commons in that it's there's some common spaces and everybody in the apartment shares a bathroom. The big difference is, 1, kitchens. You'll see here that every University Commons apartment has a full kitchen in it. And then the other big difference is size. University Commons will always have 4 bedrooms in it. And it depends whether you're in a single or a double, whether that is either a 4-person apartment or an 8-person apartment. These do have 2 bathrooms. However, the difference between University Commons and residential commons is these are 2 full bathrooms. So there are 2 bathrooms, 1 on each side. They have a sink, a shower, and a toilet. So if you're in a single 4-person apartment in University Commons, you'd share a bathroom with just 1 other person. And if you're in an 8-person, it would be 4 people sharing a bathroom space, since there is 2 bathrooms there. A very common question that people have: dining facilities. We have a handful of different dining facilities. Havener Food Court, right there, Chick-fil-A, that's one of our most popular locations, but that's not all we have. There's plenty of other stations there. There's pizza, there's salads, there's sandwiches, there's burgers. There's more of a home style where, you're getting your vegetables and your meat if you're just looking for more of a traditional meal. And then of course, Einstein's and some other things at Havener. Havener is where most students living at residential commons or university commons would eat most of their meals. Those living at Thomas Jefferson are welcome to go to Havener, of course, and they do often, especially during the day between classes. But in Thomas Jefferson, there is a dining hall in the building. You'll see in the lower photo here, that's a photo of the dining hall. It is an all-you-care-to-eat facility. And that means that, you know, you swipe your card at the door, and you go in and you eat, you know, just as much as you like. You'll see their Avenue C and Minor Munchies listed as well. Those are some of our convenience stores. There is a third convenience store in the Havener Center as well. And those are really great for just quick stop offs that you want a soda, you want a bag of chips, you want a bottle of water, something quick like that. Those convenience stores are great. One is located in the basement of Residential Commons. Like I mentioned, one is located in the Havener Center. And then there is one out at Minor Village, which, like I mentioned at the top, is more of an upperclassman area. One thing that can get confusing are our dining plans. So I'll just give you the really basics of what our dining plans are comprised of. All of our dining plans have either declining balance dollars. Well, every meal plan has declining balance dollars, but some of them also have meals. And so what the difference is there is that declining balance dollars works just like a debit card. If you have paid, I don't have the exact amounts in front of me, so forgive me that this isn't the exact amount of DVDs that are on one of our meal plans, but if you've paid $1,200 to get a meal plan that has 1,200 DVDs on it, that it's direct correlation. You pay the $1,200 for the meal plan and you get the 1,200 DVDs. And then at the actual location, you're going to use it just like a debit card. You're going to go up there and you're going to say, I want a sandwich, I want a drink, I want a side, and I want a cookie. And they're going to say, okay, great. That's, you know, $10.50. You'll hit your card and it'll remove 1050 DVDs from your account. That is, we have one plan one, called the All DVDs plan. And that's all it is. It's those DVDs. And frankly, it's easy, it's simple, it's very popular. However, it doesn't always cater to those who have larger appetites, who are planning to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack in the dining halls every day for the whole semester. In that case, we have some other dining plans, plans 3 and 4, which are a combination of meals and DVDs. And so what meals are is, for example, if you went to Thomas Jefferson Hall and you handed your card to the cashier, they would swipe your card and that would just take one meal away from your allotment of meals, and then you could go and eat in Thomas Jefferson. Versus if you had DVDs and you went to Thomas Jefferson, it would be whatever the rate is, $7 or $8, and those DVDs would be removed from your account. Those meal plans with meals on them do have supplementary DVDs on them for those little extras. So if you go to Thomas Jefferson and yeah, you ate lunch and you used a meal, but then you go to the convenience store later and you just want a soda, you're not going to want to use a whole meal just on a soda. You could use those supplementary DVDs to get those little things. Now, for those of you who are interested in living in Thomas Jefferson Hall, it's available to everybody, but it is best for those living in Thomas Jefferson Hall. We do have what we call our all access plan, and that's meal plan number 2. And ultimately what that means is you get a small allowance of DVDs, but then your meals are unlimited. You could go in and out of the Thomas Jefferson Hall dining facility 5 times a day, every day if you wanted to. And it's unlimited. The only thing there is that those unlimited meals are only usable in Thomas Jefferson. So that's why I say it makes most sense if you live in Thomas Jefferson to have that plan, just because if you have that plan and you live in residential commons, you're not going to get the bang for your buck if you're having to walk elsewhere for all of your meals. But of course, if you lived elsewhere and you wanted that all access plan, you'd be welcome to have it. We do have a partial meal plan. That is our smallest meal plan. Most first-year students wouldn't have that just because it's more catered to students who are maybe making all of their meals and not eating in the dining halls that much and have kitchens and, you know, those kind of things. I know I've just spouted a whole bunch of information at you in a very short period of time, kind of gave you the basics of the requirement, the halls that you're most likely to live in, as well as the dining facilities and the meal plans. So now is the opportunity. Let's hear all of your questions.
Ashley, why don't you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to see
button.
you slightly bigger. We have a lot of questions. So I'm going to read some of them to you.
Great.
And then I actually had this thing over here, but it has moved on me. So now I've got, don't you love that? Okay. So first of all, we've got a lot of questions on move-in day and different things like that. Does University Commons have laundry?
Yes, all our facilities have laundry in them. University Commons is on the first floor. Residential Commons is on the first floor or the basement, depending on where you are. Same in Thomas Jefferson Hall. There's 2 facilities there. It is free to use. You'll just need your student ID card.
Okay, great. And so just to be clear, all housing opportunities are available for out-of-state students and in-state students?
Yep. There,
Okay.
we don't look at whether you're out of state or in state at all while we're making housing assignments. So,
Okay. So if they want to pick their own roommate, do we have to have our group all figured out by the HIF deadline? In other words, if they have 4 people or 8 people in a room.
yeah. So let me just expand a little bit there just to loop everybody in. HIF is housing interest form, and that is where you will tell us exactly that, what housing you are interested in. It is your opportunity to tell us where you want to live as well, and this part is optional, as well as form any roommate groups. Yes, that deadline is May 1st, and you need to form any groups before May 1st for us to take them into consideration while we're making assignments.
So again, on the HIF, if a student is accepted into the Campus Christian House or Greek housing, what do they do in terms of HIF?
Yeah, so here's what I recommend. If you're unsure, or if you have not been 100% accepted yet into Campus Christian House or a Greek house, go ahead and do the HIF. The HIF, it'll just give us that information in case something falls through. And if you do the HIF, but then you go Greek, no skin off your back. There's not going to be any issue there. We'll just move you in our system and mark you as being in the Greek house or in Campus Christian House, whether you've done your HIF or not. So my recommendation is, if you're unsure, if you don't have that agreement in your hand that you are 100% living in Campus Christian House or the Greek house, go ahead and do the HIF just in case. It's not going to hurt you.
Okay, kind of back to back. How do you select your roommates on the HIF? Are housing contracts for a semester or a whole year?
Yes, our housing contracts are for the whole year from whenever you assign, whenever you apply. So for example, If one of you was to not come in the fall, but then apply for housing, but then come back to S&T next spring, if you applied in the spring, it would just be for the remainder of the year. But if you're applying and you're a fall admit, yes, your contract is for the entire year. However, if something happens, so say you got a co-op for the spring semester and you weren't going to be on campus, we have cancellation processes that allow for those type of things. If you are leaving the university, you're going to be away from campus for those type of reasons, we have a cancellation process. But if you're going to be otherwise enrolled and on campus, yes, your contract is for the whole year. In terms of how to pick your roommates in the HIF, that is a little bit more involved. So the basics of the HIF is that when you get into our housing portal, you'll start the housing interest form, and then it'll take you through a number of pages. The first few pages are just basic information confirming stuff about yourself. And then there's a contract page. Then there's a page where you will give information about yourself for purposes of roommate matching. And then there's a page where you can search for and request roommates, or accept any requests that have been, accept or deny any requests that have been sent to you. If you are having any specific issues on any of those pages, I would recommend you give our office a call or an email. If you go to our website, reslife.mst.edu, you'll find all our contact information, and that would be best way to get any specific problems you might be having with any of those pages ironed out.
Great. Where can they find the prices for all of these different living options?
Yeah. So if you go to reslife.mst.edu, or if you just go to mst.edu and search for ResLife, either way, you'll find your way to our page. And there's some menus across the top. One is living options, and under living options, there's a page called residence hall rates, and you'll find all of the prices there. Dining plans as well. There's a section called dining options, and then there's a section for dining rates.
Okay, so what about food allergies, and how can they best handle that? Do they always need to eat at the Havener, or always in Thomas Jefferson, or, you know, how can they help with that?
Yeah, so there's kind of two big pieces to that. You know, it depends on your personal needs and your food allergy and the severity of it, of course. First stop would be if you need any extensive accommodations for any severe food issues, I would recommend getting in contact with Student Disability Services. And they can talk with you and see any documentation that you may have regarding your issue. And they can let us know in housing, and they can also let dining services know of your allergy. There's some allergies that maybe us in housing might not need to know about, and maybe dining will. But if there's, for example, you know, an extremely severe peanut allergy where you can't even have peanut butter on the floor, that kind of thing, that would, you know, allow them to give us that information so that we can be aware of those kind of needed accommodations. However, our dining services is great with working with students with specific needs, even if it doesn't reach the level of an accommodation that you think you would need to go through the Student Disability Services for. Maybe it's more of a preference, whatever the case may be. They have staff members who that is their specific job, is to, you know, work with students and one, determine where is the best place for them to eat, what is the best thing for them to be eating in those locations based on their specific needs. But then above and beyond that, say you do have an allergy, they'll work with you, maybe an allergy that can't be cross-contaminated, those kind of things. They'll work with you to get you meals that have been prepared separately from the other food, in case you have those kind of cross-contamination needs. So like I said, a great resource is Student Disability Services if you have a significant issue that you'll need maybe potentially multiple accommodations for. But if it's just something that you don't necessarily want to go to them for, you can always talk with our dining services directly, and they can help you out.
And I'm just going to add in, we do have vegetarian options and the food is good. Yes, I eat there often. Okay, so can we bring our own furniture like bed frames? And along with that, does Res Life have lofting kits for the beds?
Yes, so you cannot bring your own beds. The only rare exception to that would be kind of like I talked about, if you had a medical accommodation that came through Student Disability Services where you needed a specific bed, then yes, we'd be able to make accommodations for that. But otherwise, no, the beds are there and they're provided. What was the second part of that question?
Lofting kits?
Lofting kits, yes. So the beds in University Commons are actually already lofted. Well, loftable, meaning the bed frames are very, very tall and you can put the mattress up here or you could put it way down here, kind of wherever you'd like. It's easy to shift that around. But in Thomas Jefferson Hall and Residential Commons, yes, there are loft kits that we provide. You'll just want to be patient with us just because of the number of people when you arrive on campus. Typically, we cannot get everybody a loft kit that first day when you first get there, because the RAs are busy checking everybody in and welcoming everybody to the floor. They unfortunately don't have time to check out loft kits at the same time. So typically in the first week or so of classes, there's a specific scheduled time that they set up for students to check out those loft kits.
Okay, kind of rolling a couple things in. Are heaters and heated blankets allowed? What items do you suggest students bring with them and what items should they leave at home?
Yeah, so I obviously am not going to be able to list every single thing that you should or should not bring here. So I am, as a further resource, going to kind of let you guys know about a couple things. One, on our website, there is, and let me just, so I don't lie to you, let me just double check what the title of it is. Residential Hall Guide is a document on our website under resources and forms. And it's going to have all those little specifics about policies in the halls, about what is not allowed, those kind of things. A big rule of thumb, and for some reason with these kind of things, my brain always goes to kitchen items. That's the most asked about thing, is kitchen items, is that unless you have a kitchen in your space, nothing with an open heating element is allowed. But if there is an enclosed heating element, those are okay. As far as space heaters and heated blankets, you know, I'm not sure actually off the top of my head. Let me see. I don't see anything super quickly. So Cynthia, if you could get me maybe the name of that person who asked that question, I'm going to look into that and get back to you, because I don't actually know off the top of my head.
All right, sounds good.
Heated blankets more likely than space heaters, but
yeah.
I just want to double check.
So I'm going to kind of run down through here. Is it typical for hot water to run out in the community bathrooms, or is there like certain rush hours where there's not hot water if they are in like Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah. Well, our water heating situation is definitely built for hundreds of people, to be living in the hall. It's not the same as the one that you have in your house. I have not heard any complaints about that specifically. Um, Maybe in the first couple weeks of class, if it would happen at all, just because it takes a week or two for people to get into their schedules. So it could be that in the first week of classes, there's a little bit of a traffic jam and everybody tends to be trying to shower at the same time. But then after that first week, things kind of even out and people fall into their schedules. And I haven't necessarily heard of that being any kind of significant issue.
Okay. Got a bunch of questions about DBDs, the declining balance dollars, and meal plans and things. I think some of the things that they're wondering is, do they have to have a meal plan if you run out of DBDs before the end of the semester? Can you use your own personal credit card, debit card? And do they basically, how do they keep from taking out a plan that is more than what they need and then losing it all?
Yeah, so the dining plan requirement aligns fairly closely with our housing requirement. So if you're required to live in housing, you're most likely required to have a dining plan. So keep that in mind. We do make some exceptions for students who are over 21 or who are, seniors, grad students, that kind of thing, living in apartment style. Other than that, most people are required to have a dining plan. If you ran out of DBDs, you can't add more DBDs specifically, but Dining Services has what is called minor bucks that you're able to add through them on an a la carte basis. Like, if it's the last week of school and you ran out of DVDs and you just need $20 to get you through your last couple meals, you could add $20 in minor bucks and that would suffice. But you can also use any regular tender, cash, credit card, those kind of things at the dining halls. So for example, if mom comes to visit, and she wants to go out to eat with you, but you don't want to use your precious DVDs on her, she can pay with her credit card or cash or whatever she would like. I feel like there was a third part to that question that I missed or forgot.
They can use I think you got it all.
Okay, gotcha.
What about Greek people who are in Greek houses? Do they have to have a meal plan or do you get it through the Greek house?
Yeah, so there is no requirement that somebody in a Greek house has to have a meal plan with us. So keep that in mind. But you'll want to talk to your specific Greek house as to what meal plan is required at the house. It completely varies from house to house, what they provide and what is required. So it might be that a certain house might require a payment, a chunk of your payment to them for housing might go towards meals that are provided at the house. It just really varies per house what is provided. However, while you're not required to have a meal plan with us, with Residential Life, with the campus, you are welcome to. So if you go to a Greek house where the Greek house is providing maybe breakfast and dinner, but not lunch, I think it's a common setup with some of them. You could absolutely buy a meal plan with us, our smallest meal plan that would just give you enough to do that, to have lunches most days on campus. If that is your situation, feel free to reach out to us at the beginning of the semester. We have what's called a food service only contract that we'd have you fill out and we'd be able to get you that meal plan. I just remembered a piece of your last question, which was, how do you know how much you might need and what if you don't know? We have a meal plan change period at the beginning of each semester. So say you pick meal plan 1 on your HIF tomorrow, but then you get here and you kind of work through the first week of classes and you realize, this is not going to be enough. I'm going to burn through this too quickly. You can change your meal plan anytime in those first 2 weeks. But then on top of that, say you decide not to change your meal plan in that first 2 weeks of the fall semester, but then throughout the fall semester, you realize that it's not the right plan for you, you'll get a second opportunity to change your meal plan at the beginning of the spring semester. So that meal plan change period happens every semester.
And does the meal plan last for the semester or for the whole year?
Yes, so meals will expire each semester. So the meals that you get for fall will only be for fall, and then you'll be given more meals to use for spring. So you get an allotment in fall, you get an allotment in spring. DBDs do roll over from fall to spring. So if you have any of those extra DBDs remaining at the end of the fall, it will roll over to spring. But then at the end of the spring semester, whatever meal plan you had, it's gone at that point.
Okay, here's a couple that are going to be similar. How do we get the HIF form? I'm going to go on from there. Do honors students need to have the HIF filled out by April 1st and everybody else by May 1st? And there was one more that was similar to that. And when do you find out if your housing requests are approved?
So the housing application, so I'm backing up a little bit back from the HIF just to kind of get into the stuff about the HIF. When you register or have registered, if you've already done it to your advising and registration day, that will also be where you initially apply for housing. Once you do that, all those people are sent my way, and I see that you've applied for housing. Once you have done that, you've applied for housing, I send an email out with information about the HIF, a link to it, some information about it, instructions on how to fill it out. And that initial email went out on February 1st. So anybody who had applied before February 1st got that email on February 1st. Since February 1st, I send that out on a weekly basis, usually on Fridays, to anybody who has applied in that last week. If you're thinking, oh no, I should have gotten that email already, I don't know what you're talking about, feel free to reach out to our office and we can get that resent to you as well. So that's how you get to the HIF. Once you've applied for housing, you'll get an email from reslife@mst.edu with instructions on how to fill that out. As far as honors, so it's not that honors people are required to do their HIF by August or April 1. It's that is the priority date if you want to also live in the honors living community. So if you're interested in living in the honors community, and if you do your HIF, are accepted to the Honors Academy, and on your HIF preference, honors living by April 1, then that is, you get priority for that space, for that area, and you'll get your assignment early before May 1st. Now, don't freak out. If you miss that, say you're like, well, I didn't even decide that I wanted to be in the Honors Academy until April 15th and da-da-da. You can still do the HIF after that, even if you're in the Honors Academy, and you can still preference honors. It just will be that we might not have space. So it's just that April 1st is the priority date for those in the Honors Academy. And then yes, May 1st is just the basic deadline for everybody. Now, just to throw one other thing out there, say you applied for housing and something happened and you just completely missed the HIF altogether. You just did not do it. You're still going to get housing. We're still going to assign you. Don't panic. We just obviously won't have that information about you regarding your preferences. And then the last little piece about when, Housing assignments, our goal is to have those out to all of you first week of June. And you'll get that in your student email. So you'll want to be keeping an eye on that.
Okay, I think they're getting a little confused because they think if their advising day is after May 1st, that they're not going to get the HIF, but they get the HIF as soon as they sign,
Apply for housing. Yep.
as soon as they sign up for advising
Yeah.
registration. That's when you send out the HIF form.
Yeah. So once you sign up for that housing registration or that advising registration day, even if that registration day is in June,
August. Yeah.
August, whatever.
Yeah.
Once you've signed up for it, you also apply for housing. And then once you apply for housing, you can go on to do the HIF.
A bunch of questions about honors housing, and do they have similar social opportunities? Can you just discuss the difference between honors housing and other housing? And is it on a certain floor in University Commons? And what's the difference between that and a normal freshman residency?
Yeah. So yes, honors community is on the 4th floor of University Commons. There are some singles available and some doubles available. It is a mixed community where there will be some returning students there as well. It is not an all freshman community, but really none of our communities are 100% freshmen. But there definitely will be some returners to that community. Physically, building wise, there's no difference. Honors 4th floor is the exact same as non-honors 3rd floor in University Commons. So the specific housing accommodation is not different at all. What is different is, one, we recognize that honors students, they have an interest in maybe living with other students who are taking the same classes, having the same requirements. And frankly, that's just helpful sometimes. Then on top of that, there is just additional programming for that area. They might have, now I'm just giving some examples of things that have happened in the past. Obviously, due to COVID this last year, things had been a little bit different this year, but hoping to get back on track with some of our more social items next year. But they've had special speakers, they've had special field trips available to them, just different programming on that floor than some of our other floors.
Okay, a bunch of questions about, and I think you probably covered this, but we're going to kind of direct them again. Questions about what is in the rooms. Can they bring in a coffee pot, a microwave, a TV, a refrigerator? Are those things provided? And are all of those listed on that list that you said they should go out and check?
Yes, so the basics for every room, no matter where you live, you're going to get a bed, you're going to get a desk, you're going to get a chair, and then you're going to get some kind of other thing, whether it's a dresser or everywhere has a dresser. Some have an additional bookshelf. Those are standard furniture wise: desk, dresser, chair, bed, no matter where you live. Then on top of that, yes, we do have small mini fridges provided in each bedroom. However, you can bring an additional mini fridge, and the exact size is in that document I referenced. If you would like, we have some students who sometimes need to refrigerate medications and stuff like that. And so they like to bring those, an additional fridge, one for medication, one for food. But if it's all food, that's fine too. Feel free to bring one just for your drinks or whatnot. Yes, as far as kitchen things, I will reference you to that Res Hall guide. It is going to have the specifics, like I said, of size of fridge you can bring, size of microwave you can bring, and all the different kitchen appliances you can and cannot bring. Rule of thumb there is open heating element versus non-open heating element.
And what if they want to bring their own desk or their own chair?
So ultimately, furniture cannot be removed from the room. But if you have a gaming chair that dang, you can just not do your homework without it, that is okay, but you cannot remove the furniture that is in the room to make space for what you're bringing in.
You just got to stick it over in the corner.
But like I said, if you have a specific medical accommodation that you go through Student Disability Services for example, somebody who uses a wheelchair, who needs furniture removed to make space for the use of that wheelchair, that would be an accommodation that we would be able to help with if we got that accommodation from Student Disability Services.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about TJ. And are we okay for you to keep going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. I'll probably close it off at 7 for sure. So if anybody has extra questions, you need these last few minutes. Regarding TJ, is there a community kitchen and gathering space and bathrooms on each floor? And how many rooms share a bathroom in TJ? And are those floors broken so that men are on one floor and women are on another floor?
Yeah, good question. I didn't touch on that. So we have 2 towers in Thomas Jefferson Hall, north and south. They're set up slightly different. Well, the accommodations are the same, the floors are different. So Thomas Jefferson North has 2 wings, a north wing and a south wing, and they each have a bathroom. And really, it depends on how many singles are on the floor, how many people share a bathroom. I believe each wing is no more than 40 people. And so that is the max, but some of them have less than that because there are singles on the floor. So really anywhere from 20 to 40 people on a floor or on a wing. And then in Thomas Jefferson North, there is a bathroom on each wing. Every floor has a kitchen and a lounge, and then of course the bathroom. So you would not have to go to another floor by any means to use the bathroom. In South Tower, those are smaller floors. So like I said, Thomas Jefferson has a north wing and a south wing, or sorry, a north and a west wing. Thomas Jefferson South just has the 1 wing and 1 bathroom for everybody on that floor.
I think you answered one of those questions that just popped up. So we're not allowing visitors into the residence halls right now because of the COVID restrictions. However, as Ashley said, there's a lot of photos and other really good information on the ResLife website. And Ashley, if you might type in to the chat, maybe the link, can you copy?
Yeah, let me get the
find
direct
that
there.
They're really interested in that list as well. They can't find your list on there.
So now it's not quite a list, it's just a policy document. We will have more of a checklist that we put out with our move-in materials. But here I've just put in the chat a link to that Res Hall guide I've been talking about. You'll see that this one is 2020, 2021, but the policies are the same. We just don't update that until the summer before each year. And then let me grab the page with the Res Hall information. I've just posted in the chat the link to the Res Hall pages, and you'll just want to go to each hall page to see the tours and the photos. So the page I sent you has TJ, RC, University Commons, all these on it. You'll just, if you're interested in Thomas Jefferson, click Thomas Jefferson Hall, and then that'll have, first it'll have the floor plans, then photos, then an embedded video that is the virtual tour, and that'll be the same for each hall.
Great, yeah. And just very quickly, do all of the residential facilities have a common space, like where people meet and a kitchen, even though they might have apartments? Or...
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, Thomas Jefferson Hall has a community kitchen and a lounge on each floor. So does RC, even though, you know, you might have a little bit of a community space in your room, there is still a community, there's study rooms, a community kitchen, and a community lounge on each floor. In University Commons, there are lounges on each floor, but there's no community kitchen, obviously, because in University Commons, each suite has its own kitchen. And then in every hall, beyond the community spaces that are on each floor, there's also main community spaces that are larger spaces that are in the main lobby area of each building as well. The only exception to that are our upperclassmen areas that you guys won't be in right away, such as Rolla Suites does not have floor lounges. Minor Village has a clubhouse that's centralized between the buildings, but doesn't have lounges on the actual floors. But again, those aren't locations that you guys would necessarily be living in.
Okay. Is there wireless in all of the halls?
Yep, wireless everywhere.
Okay. What about security? And do they just use key card access, or how do they get in?
Yep, so the buildings are locked 24/7, and you gain access to it from your student ID based on your assignments. So only people who, for example, if you're living in residential commons, only people who, or staff, you know, who are living in residential commons have access with their card to get into that building.
Okay, very quickly, the pricing, it's per person, not per room, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Talk about.
Now, let me look really quick
Okay.
just to make sure. On our website, housing rates, the rates that you see there are for the year. So keep that in mind. Our
Per
rate,
person.
it's per person per year, but we do bill on a semester basis. So you'd be charged half of that in the fall and then half of that in the spring.
I think this person has asked me 3 times and I haven't gotten to it, so I need to answer this one. Do meals apply to the restaurants that are on campus, not just the dining halls? So in other words, like, I guess Einstein's and Au Bon Pain and, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, and then also, it's kind of with this too. Do all of those dining halls have gluten-free options?
Yes. So some places have gluten-free options there all the time. Like there's a gluten-free station in Thomas Jefferson, and I'm pretty sure some of the places in Havener, sorry, blanked from the name for a second, have gluten-free options just all the time that you can just avail yourself to. However, if you have such a need, for example, maybe you're gluten-free, but not only do you need a gluten-free meal, you need no cross-contamination possibility whatsoever, like extremely strict. In those cases, you can talk with dining services. And even if you want what's on the line, you know, a specific meal, chicken or whatever happens to be there that is gluten-free, if you have any extra concerns, you can talk with them and they can prepare it separately for you specifically. So yes, while those options are there, if your allergy is extremely severe, we can always get additional things for you due to cross-contamination. And then what was the first part of that question?
Do the meals apply to any of the dining?
Yeah, so the only locations that meals do not work for, the convenience store, you can't use meals at the convenience store. Au Bon Pain does not take meals. And then Starbucks, which is located in the library, that does not take meals, but it does take, but every location on campus does take DVDs.
Can you hang hooks in the walls, put up pictures, put things on the walls, all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, So we have in that document that I shared, the Res Hall Guide, there are some specifics about what we recommend you use to hang things on your walls in the residence halls. So yes, you can, but we have some specifics for you there as to what to use. Surprisingly, we actually don't recommend 3M strips, just because they tend to do more damage ripping paint off than, you know, a small thumbtack. So we do allow push pin thumbtacks, and there's push pin hooks, and then some sticky tack. And you'll find the specifics about that in that guide that I put in the chat as well.
One last quick question, but then I'm going to have you talk about move-in. So regarding how the floors are split by men and women.
Oh, yes, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So in Thomas Jefferson, some floors are all women and all men. And again, that is definitely a binary that doesn't always, you know, go with everybody's, you know, gender. Now that is, when I say men and women, male, female, that is based on what is marked in our system, whether they're male and female. Obviously, it might not always be correct for the individual, but this floor might be male, this floor female. But then we do have some floors that one wing is male and one wing is female, but the bathrooms are separate since there's a bathroom on each wing. Now in University Commons and Residential Commons, it is a single gender within the suite, but your next door neighbor could be any gender. It's mixed gender on the floors.
Take these last 3 minutes and describe what move-in is going to look like and when they might get more information about move-in.
Yeah, so you'll get more information about move-in when you get your assignment. That'll be kind of the first little bit about move-in that you get. But then we typically send a bigger, more robust email with information about move-in in later June, early July. Now, I'm just going to put a caveat on this. I am going to tell you about move-in, assuming that things are quote unquote, a little bit quote unquote back to normal by August, because this past August move-in did look quite different due to COVID restrictions for space usage and how many people could be in a space, all those kind of things. But what our typical move-in looks like is that when first year students arrive, they go to our kind of first stop welcome location located in Hasselman Alumni Center. Frankly, it's a little bit of a big party over there that day. You'd think, move-in, sluggish, but no, everybody's in a great mood. There's photos being taken. There's a snack station, all that kind of great stuff. And that's going to be your first stop where you get checked in and you get your key. From there, you'll filter out to your different residence halls, whether it be University Commons, Thomas Jefferson, or Residential Commons, to actually move in. And at that point, there'll be different staff members and university police directing traffic to really smoothly get people in and out, unload stuff quickly, get up to the halls. And at that point, you'll meet your RA. You'll be able to, and of course, any roommates or suite mates you have at that time. From there, typically there is an event that night. But again, that kind of, is up in the air depending on how COVID is looking going into August. Typically, there's a couple events that weekend that our residence hall folks, our residence hall government, student leaders host, as well as, events just part of your opening week activities. And then, you'll hit the ground running there with opening week. But in the last couple of years, we've really streamlined that move-in process, and unless it's raining or 100 degrees, it's gonna be a good day. But even if it's raining, those days are still good as well. We'll have tissues available for the parents. We always do.
Right. Okay, I just want to let everybody know I included my name and email address, Kara's name and her email address. I also included the ResLife email address. If you have any questions, please let us know. I am going to have this recording available. Likely, we might put it on our new admissions YouTube channel as well, so you can probably find it there. But I can also send out an email to everybody who's in attendance today to let you know. I also copied the text messages in case there was something that we didn't get to that I might be able to reach out to you guys. And also, like Kara is typing in here, pro@mst.edu is our new student programs, and they have a lot of answers for you as far as like the welcome bash and move in and things like that as well. So we'll go from there. I am going to close out tonight by thanking everybody for coming. This has been an extremely popular event tonight. We had over 185 people register for this event. So obviously it's a topic or topics that a lot of people have questions about. So if we did not specifically address all of the questions that you had, please reach out. You can reach out to Ashley, Kara, myself, reach out to ResLife, reach out to new student programs. We all want to help you. I know that sometimes there's so many questions that you have, so please reach out and talk to us. We're going to let you go for tonight, but I want to thank Ashley for being here and helping us through this. Everybody learns a lot when Ashley comes and talks to us about these things. So
Thank you guys so much for having me.
all right, awesome. Okay, well, we're going to let you go for tonight. And like I said, I'll try to get the video out as soon as possible. So thank you and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.